Here are the last Soviet national champions, Yelena Bechke and Denis Petrov. They were the silver medalists at the European Championships last year, led after the original program, and the door is open for them to do so again here in '92.
Well, we spoke with their coach, Tamara Moskovina, who also coaches Mishkatunik and Dmitriev, and she said of both the teams, this team is most ready. They've had very strong practices and a history of very strong short programs. And this is the element that will tell all. Side-by-side double axel. Perfect unison. I think those are the nicest we've seen all night.
As opposed to Mishkatunik and Dmitriev, who skated confidently but with a determined look on their face, this team is skating confidently but looking relaxed out there. They're going through this program very smoothly and looking quite relaxed and look like they're really enjoying it out there.
Which is very unusual for this team. I think it has to do with the choreography. It's very light and fun, and I think that really helps Elena relax.
Have to think the fact that this team has managed to remain healthy this year has also helped them, while their fellow countrymen have been suffering between injury and illness to get to this European Championship.
Fourth at last year's World Championships, Yelena Bechke and Denis Petrov.
Here we're going to look at those side-by-side double axles, up together, rotated together, landed together. Nicely executed element. Here we look at the required lift, toe overhead into a hip axle position. She's actually grabbing a hold of her blade with her hand, which is kind of unique.
And smiling all the while.
Been together a long time. They were the bronze medalists back in 1986 here at the European Championships as they await their first set of marks, and they're the best we've seen so far. Couple of 5.6s, 5.7s, and the German judge has given them a 5.8 for their required elements. Another set of marks like that, and Bechke and Petrov again will be the leaders after the original program. And there they are, 5 first-place marks, 4 second-place marks, and Bechke and Petrov as they did a year ago. Here are the defending world and European champions, Natalia Mishkatunik and Artur Dmitriev. Like many championship skaters this year, they have been plagued by problems. Artur with knee surgery and a sprained back. Both have been suffering from the flu, which caused them to miss the Soviet National Championship.
Well, the last time this team performed was at Lalik, and they didn't have a wonderful outing there. We're going to have to wait and see if tonight is a different story.
Nevertheless, they look very sharp in their original program practice this morning.
We're opening here with the double twist. Not great height, but a nice element nonetheless. Now next is the double axel. She has been having quite a bit of difficulty with this element. This will be very important. watch these two last elements, the spiral step sequence and the final spin, really show her flexibility as an asset here.
Great ending for the world champions, Bechke and Dimitriev.
I found that they skated the program with a lot of aggression, a lot of confidence, and that's the thing that one would expect from the current reigning world champions.
Well, the problem with the double axel will definitely mark them down to at least 0.3 or 0.4 for her mistake. At the Trophy La Ligue competition earlier this year, they opted to do double toe loops, which is a much easier jump.
Here we're looking at their forward inside death spiral, and the judges start counting as soon as he plants his left foot, right now. That's the point at which they'll start counting the rotation. You're going to see he's going to execute almost 2 full rotations with her in the death spiral position. There's the second right there, and that's the thing that's going to separate them from the rest of the death spirals in this competition.
Artur celebrating his 24th birthday today as we see the first set of marks, which begin at a 5.3 from the British judge up to 5.7 from the Italian judge. But as you can see, Natalia does not look happy with her performance. And the second set of marks much higher, 5.7s and 5.8. But for the British judge, interestingly enough, the British judge has them rated number 2 behind countrymen Shishkova and Naumov of the Commonwealth of Independent States.
Next pair, Bechke and Petrov, CIS.
Well, this is a big moment in the careers of Bechke and Denis Petrov. They were the leaders last year at the European Championships, but failed to win gold, settled for silver. They have a chance to win their first gold at this level with a strong performance tonight.
Well, this team has always had a problem with the long program. I asked Elena after the short program if she was happy with how they did, and she said no. And I said, why? And she said, because tomorrow is the long program. And she continues to have nerves throughout the long program. We'll see what happens.
And Barb, there have been 2 other teams here this evening execute beautiful side-by-side triple toe loops. There was their opportunity, and it's a missed one.
And a perfect throw triple toe loop. Much different program that we're seeing this year from them. Last year it was a very intense, serious program, and this year she describes this program as a love program. Much more on the lighter side. Double axels and another flip out of that one too.
I'm sitting here and I'm amazed at the fact that we've seen two girls tonight struggle with their single jump, and yet when it comes to the throw, they're spot on. I just find that somewhat interesting and unusual.
Very interesting dismount from that lift. I must say that of all the teams in the top that we skated with on tour this year, earlier in the spring, this team works hard. Tamara actually said that at times she has to tell Elena to stop working. She needs to take a break because she works so hard. But I found that overall it really sort of lacked speed. Did you notice that?
Well, I think for them it's a new program. They've probably only been thinking of getting through it, getting the elements executed, but I think in the long run it's a good vehicle, and I think you're going to see between now and Olympics they're going to work on the program because I think it's one that might just do it for them.
Well, the gold medal was there for the taking tonight, but I'm not sure they grasped it with great conviction. It's going to be close.
Well, it's interesting that between them and Mishkatunik and Dmitriev, both girls missed both jumps. And here's a look at the triple toe loop. She just doesn't get around. She doesn't get the rotation.
And here we're going to look at a throw, which she hit all of them. This is the throw triple toe, and you're going to see it goes up nice and straight, clean position, and she hits the landing spot on.
Well, it's in the judge's hands, the first set of marks. And it's a 5-2 from the British judge up to 5-7 from the Italian judge, and that may not be enough. Said they simplified the program this year to give them less to think about. Let's find out what the second set of marks have. And here they come, the second set, and not a first place mark there. Second place mark from 4 judges. So this will be interesting. Here come the world champions right now in second place as they were a year ago when they wowed us with an amazing performance to win European gold. But Paul, we watched them in practice, and even skating half the program, she seemed out of breath and out of condition.
Well, Chris, they have had a year full of problems. She's had the flu, he has had the flu, he has had a back problem. And when you combine those together, it causes you not to have the quality training time that you might normally like to have going into an Olympic Games. And we'll just have to see how well she handles that situation here this evening.
I noticed on the warm-up prior to this skate, she's having difficulties in her single jump. And there we have it. She pulled out of the triple toe loop, and that's exactly what she did in the warm-up.
Later in this program, they have a side-by-side double axel plan, and in talking to their coach, Tomina Moscovina, she indicated that if they did the triple toes, they would not attempt the double axel. We'll have to wait and see.
Very nice. Throw triple toe loop. And again, a problem.
It's unfortunate that she's had the difficulties she's had out there, because this is the kind of program where if everything doesn't go just right, it really takes the edge off the performance, especially in the type of program they're trying to state here this evening. Very lyrical, very musical, and when you fall, it really breaks the image that they're trying to portray. She continues to knock off the throws, though, and again, a very nice one executed there. Aside from the mistakes that they did make, her mistakes in her solo jumps, it was a strong performance. However, not nearly to the level that we saw last year of the same program in Munich at the World Championships, which earned them their title.
Well, speaking with their coach, Tamara, she did say that they aren't at the top level that they want to be yet. They still have 2 weeks to go to the Olympics. Here's a look at that throw triple toe loop. Very solid. One of their nicer moves.
Here we're going to look at the side-by-side double axel that she doesn't execute well. But again, as you mentioned, Barb, they are really not where they want to be at this point.
Still is a terrific crowd pleaser, but after seeing it the way it was skated at the World Championships, it's a little bit of a letdown when we don't see it executed perfectly. There's a look at the Protopovs, the legendary Soviet couple. Going into this year, 25 of the last 27 pairs gold medals have gone to Soviet skaters. That streak will end, but perhaps CIS will start a new streak. And you must wonder what Surya and Eisler are thinking. 2 weeks away from the Olympics and seeing their arch rivals not at their best.
Well, not only that, Chris, but for Mishkatunik and Dmitriev, this is two performances that we've seen here at the Europeans and at the League, where they did not skate up to the standard that we have seen them at previous competitions.
Here come the marks. 5-4 from the British judge, Natalia. Her reaction, I guess she's happy about that, but I'm sure deep inside not happy with the performance. Up to a 5-8 from the CIS judge. Second set of marks have always been higher. Look, there's a 6 from the Italian judge. The first perfect score of the European Championships. 5 9s to 5 8. So the gold medal still maybe in their grasp. And I think they're a little surprised that it is. At the recently completed Soviet National Championships, Vyacheslav Zagorodny, the last 2 years, the bronze medalist at the European Championships.
Petrov was having a few difficulties down on the warm-up. He tried the triple axel twice and missed it both times, so we'll see what happens here.
The best triple axel combination next to Urmanov that we've seen here today.
And a nice triple loop to go with it.
Vacheslav was out here to prove to the judges panel that his performance at the league was not a fluke and it has to be considered a genuine contender going into Albertville.
And he felt that he had outskated Kurt Browning at Trophy La Ligue.
That Barna's program had, but it was a very clean, precise program with all the elements intact.
We could see from his reaction there at the end that he was definitely pleased with it and has to feel good going into the long program. Here in replay, we're going to look at the beautiful triple axel, double toe loop combination. One of the best we've seen here today. Here we take a look at Vacheslav's double axel. We have to remember that this is one of the elements which every competitor must complete in the short program, and he does quite a nice one.
That performance by Zagorodnik will go a long way to making the judges forget a 22nd place finish at last year's Worlds in Munich. And here come the marks. First set, start with a 5-4 from the Finnish judge up to a 5-8 from the host Swiss judge. Now, will he be able to challenge Barno with this second set of marks? And here they come. He has 1, 2, 3, 4 second place marks, 4 thirds, and a 4th place mark from the Norwegian judge, and that puts Zagorodnik into second place ahead of his teammate Earl. Perhaps the forgotten contender on the road to Albertville. Here's the Czechoslovakian national champion, Peter Barna, the silver medalist of the Europeans the last 2 years, 4th in Munich, but he was the only man to gain a perfect 6 in his original program.
Well, Peter has a very difficult combination that he's aiming to complete, which is the triple lut into the triple toe loop. One of the most difficult, other than the triple axel triple toe. Very nice.
Peter is skating very well and shows no signs of a groin injury, which has hampered him over the past few years. It's most unusual. It's high up in his groin, and he said he's taken the time to get it cured, and it's evident that it's not affecting him at all out here today. Everything in this program has had polish. Peter is one of the few male skaters who execute each element and always come through with a nice extension in the free leg, not only in his jumps, but throughout his footwork throughout the entire program.
This is probably the program that will challenge Petrenko's short program.
Barb, you commented to me that he looked nervous in the warm-up, but clearly nerves weren't a problem there, although they have been for Peter in the past.
Well, he looked very intense, and perhaps he was just concentrating so much, and it was very obvious out here today.
Here we see Peter's required spin, camel spin, nice extension, good position throughout it. That's one thing that I've been very impressed with about Peter. He's got such a clean line, never a bent free leg where we don't want to see one.
With the problems of Browning, Petrenko, Eldridge, and the erratic behavior of Christopher Bowman, Peter Barna cannot be forgotten, and he won't be with marks like this. Technical marks up to 5/8. So Barna off to a great start here, and he's always strong during the original program. And he looks delighted with those marks. The second set, and he has 3 5.9s and a great set of marks for the Czechoslovakian champion, Peter Barna. Two skaters left, and either could still win European gold, the way things have unfolded here in the men's competition. In third place right now is Alexei Urmanov, the 18-year-old, who beat Viktor Petrenko to win the Soviet championship. His coach said, don't get too excited about beating him. Says this isn't your year, but it might still be Urmanov's year.
Well, this reminds me of a position that Kurt Browning was in going into the 1988 games. All the eyes are on Petrenko and Browning this year, and there's no pressure on him at all. Pulled that triple axel out.
I think he was hoping to make that a combination, but he decided to just hang on and take the marks for the executed triple axel.
Now here comes the quad. And a great one.
It looked clean from here, Barb. We're at the opposite end of the rink, and I don't know whether it's 3-foot touchdown. We'll have to hope that a replay caught it to see if it was as clean as we think it was. has been having some difficulties out here. That was a double up. I'm sure he wanted to do a triple. I'm most impressed by the degree of maturity we've seen in this skater since last year at Munich. He's out there skating to his music instead of through it, that so many of the men are guilty of at this young age.
Last year, all anybody seems to remember him for was his quad. This year, he seems to have a complete package. He still has a ways to go, but it's certainly leaps and bounds over last year. Just a great performance and an amazing quad.
Being groomed for 94, but I'm not sure we won't see this guy make some noise in Albertville.
Well, it certainly was a strong performance, but with Viktor yet to skate, there hasn't been a man come out here yet and make it clear that he definitely wants the European title.
Isn't it amazing, Paul, that from fourth place after the original program, the door is still open for Viktor Petrenko.
Here's a look at his opening triple axel. Just barely holds onto that edge.
It's actually over-rotated. He landed on the inside edge. And here we're going to look at the quad. Nice, tight air position. Definitely clean. Just a beautifully executed quad clothesline.
As Urmanov left the ice, he saluted his CIS teammates. The marks 5.7s and 5.8s for technical merit. As his coach, Mr. Machine, trying to take the pressure off this youngster. And a second set of marks. There are 1, 2, 3 first-place marks, the rest second-place marks, and right now Urmanov has moved ahead of Zagorodnik, but is behind the leader, Peter Barna. Petrov, and they couldn't take advantage. Let's see how the veteran Barna handles his opportunity.
Well, the triple axel has eluded Peter up until now, but he says tonight he is going to attempt the quad toe. Now, he didn't practice it today on the practice session, but we'll see. It's the first jump in the program.
We almost wondered if he had an ankle problem. He didn't do much in his practice and seemed to be favoring one leg.
Very close.
It appeared as though he just wasn't in position and ready to push the landing through, but it was straight and very tight and clean in the air.
Difficult combination coming up next, the triple Lutz, triple toe loop. And he just couldn't push through that landing on the toe. sow into a triple toe, and then he went to go into another triple toe and singled it out. He seems to be just on the verge of being on, and then he just misses it.
Both you and I sat independently in the arena when Peter practiced this program the other day. When we got together to compare notes, we both had the word dark written down beside describing this program. And if you can tell on television, there is a crossbone on the front of this costume, and I'd be interested to talk to Peter to see if there is a story and what he's trying to portray out here, because obviously he's got a story to tell, but it's interesting to talk to him and get that story.
Well, the music is from the soundtrack Hamlet by Ennio Morricone.
Of course, he skates in a skeleton costume during galas, but in a much lighter frame.
Not going to help him at all. I don't know. I saw him come out. He looked confident, and he just couldn't pull the jump through.
Well, I made the reference to Bechke and Petrov because they, like Peter Barna, have been around a long time and what a golden opportunity. But like Bechke and Petrov, it doesn't appear like they've seized the moment.
Well, it seems as though this was going to be his year to win. He's been practicing well all week, very confident. Here's a look at the quad. Look how close he comes to landing. Just doesn't get... Actually, he looked like he was a little far back from the landing. Just couldn't pull it through. Here's a look at the triple lut into the triple toe, and again, just can't pull that free leg through.
Peter Barna trying to become the fourth different Czechoslovakian skater to win the European Championships. Andre Nepela, Karl Devin, and Joseph Sebastuk preceded Barna. And there are the marks, perhaps, although Peter's shaking his head. The first set maybe higher than he might have expected. Now, the critical marks, and their first place marks across the board. He has a 5-9 from the Czechoslovakian judge, as well the Bulgarian and the Swedish judge. I think Peter's a little surprised because those marks might be enough for a gold medal. We'll have to wait and see.
Petrenko,
His two-year reign as European champion on the line as Viktor Petrenko skates out. He started in fourth place after the original program. We thought he might be devastated by that performance, but Paul, you talked to him, and he seemed quite upbeat.
Well, Chris, I did ride home on the bus with him from the venue to the hotel last night, and he definitely felt that he was going to nail that combination in a short program. It didn't seem the least bit perturbed by not hitting it, and he has practiced well here today and warmed up very well.
Victor's had a really tough year. He's been through 4 different pairs of skating boots, and right now he's skating on 2 different blades, one old and one new. We all know that the wrong boots can be a real skater's nightmare. Opening with the triple axel, triple toe loop. Wow, that was perfect.
That's That's what he was looking for last night, and the way he did that one, he's confident in it, and he just ripped it off like there was no tomorrow.
He was right on top of that. That was a double loop instead of a triple loop. But a beautiful triple Lutz, triple toe combination. Viktor has also had choreography problems. They started a brand new program to chess and a new short program and have since left them and gone back to the old programs. This is the third year for this long program. And a double flip.
Another case of hit one, miss one, and you have to remember that each time they miss a triple, it's a missed opportunity to collect some marks.
To do a double axel instead of a triple axel and a double Salchow instead of a triple Salchow. I have to wonder if he's really in condition.
Well, one could argue that none of these men want to leave the best performance of their season here in Lausanne, but there certainly hasn't been any one of them come out here tonight and skate with aggression or the confidence that one would expect at this late date, just 2 weeks before the games.
Looking a little tired at this point.
And fatigue was a problem at the Soviet Nationals, where he finished third.
Well, it has been a problem in the past. He's come out like gangbusters, and then halfway through the program, he goes downhill.
Still a minute to go.
He was about to try the triple axel there again and decided to do a double.
Well, when one looks at the three men who stood on the podium last year at Worlds, we all have got to start wondering. Viktor certainly has not looked strong here. Kurt has been struggling with a back problem, as has Todd Eldridge. We have to start thinking and looking seriously at people such as Christopher Bowman to do what I would describe as come in the back door, unless these three men start getting their acts together.
Or Alexei Ermanov, even. It'll be very interesting to see what happens here.
Well, we all know that Kurt's a money skater, but we can only hope that his back will allow him to be the money skater that we all know, because Viktor's performance here certainly doesn't show signs of being a big threat come Albertville.
Well, it wasn't as though he made any mistakes. He didn't make one mistake. He just didn't put it all in.
And there's only 2 weeks left. Crowd sure liked it, though, at the Malay Ice Center. Many on their feet.
Here we're going to look at Viktor's triple axel. Nicely executed and right back up into the triple toe loop. The first element he executed in the program and probably the best. Here we're looking at the triple Lutz, triple toe loop combination. We must remember that triple combinations are the most difficult in the book.
First one
Everybody on the edge of their seat as they await the marks here. Here's the first set. 5 7s and 5 8s. For what was a relatively safe performance. And remember, his mind is as much unsure on Albertville right now as it is on retaining a gold medal. Now, the critical second marks. And here they come. 7 judges have him rated #1 for the long program. So Viktor Petrenko has won the long program, but it's not enough. And Peter Barna has won his first European after both of the compulsory dances, and third in the original dance. Here are Oksana Grishuk and Evgeny Platov. And with the CIS place 1, 2, 3, there's a chance of a sweep here in the free dance tonight.
Well, last year in Munich, Oksana and Evgeny skated a free dance which could probably best be described as fairly traditional. It'll be interesting to see if they've made a move towards a more modern look, as so many of the other dance teams have. Well, I remember commenting last year on their free dance that if they hoped to remain a contender, they would have to change their approach to the free dance. I found this one to be much more contemporary, much more modern, much more freewheeling. but the question as always will be whether the judges thought the same or not.
Well, it is interesting that they do take from the same coach as Usova and Zhulin, but a very opposite style of skating. This is much more futuristic, much more modern, but I found they had good unison, good flow, and some very intricate lifts and movements.
First mark for Oksana Grishuk and Evgeny Platov. 5.5, 5.6.
They salute the crowd as we get their first set of marks.
5.7.
5.5 from the Austrian judge up to a 5.8 at the other end of the board from the Hungarian judge, and first place marks so far right across the board. Both born in Odessa but now training in Moscow. That's Natalia Dubova on the right side as we see the second set of marks. 5.7s and 5.8 as they vie for their first European medal. They're in third place.
Maya Usova.
Well, here are the elegant Usova and Zhulin. Second after both compulsory dances and the original dance. They are crowd favorites, but I think they're a little frustrated, at least their coach Natalia Dubova is, that they have not been able to win over the judges like they do the crowd.
They've had a difficult season off the ice as much as on. This past summer, they had the unfortunate happening of having their apartment broken into twice. The second time, they stole Maya's skates. She's had to break in new ones. She's had some trouble with that. To compound the fact this new free dance is difficult, it's brand new, and they're really hoping that this will put them on the top here at the European Championships.
perspective of all these 4 seasons?
Well, with so many ice dancers trying to tell a story these days, there was no story here except the fact that this was pure, elegant, graceful skating, and I think Oleg Protopopov said it the best when he said, "It is sugar to my eye."
Well, Barb, they are standing in this building for this performance, and no matter what the judges give the nod to here this evening, watching Maya and Alexander skate is a treat. Her coach, Dubova, is elated with the performance, and to watch this team, the grace, the beauty of the line, the flow, and the unbelievable unison, they get my vote. I'm sorry.
First mark for
I think perhaps the
Maya
most
Usova
telling
and
judge of all was
Alexander
Alexander, who clenched his fist. He was
5.6,
delighted with what they'd done.
5.7,
Here the first set, and you can hear
5.8,
again the reaction. The fans are not happy.
5.7,
5.6 from the Austrian judge. There are 5.7s and 5.8s. The best mark of 5.9 from the Hungarian judge.
Thank you.
Must be frustrating for them to skate so well as they really demand of themselves and not be rewarded. 5.8s and 5.9s for their artistic marks. First place marks right across the board, but Labova and Ponomarenko are still to come.
Marina Klimova, Sergei Ponomarenko, Communauté des États indépendants.
Just about everything has gone their way this week in Lausanne. They won the compulsory dances and the original dance. They even won at the draw, where they have skated last in both the original and now the free dance. Here are the 3-time defending champions, Marina Klimova and Sergei Ponomarenko.
Well, after 15 years of training with Natalia Dubova, who also coaches Usova and Zhulin, they have made a coaching change this year and are now with Titania Tarasova, who coached Bestumanova and Buchan, who won the last Olympics. They also have come with a brand new look this year.
Well, it's always interesting in the ice dance to see what the judges are going to buy in any particular year. They have obviously bought the Ponomarenko-Klimova package to this point. We'll have to see if they continue to believe that it's the best ice dancing here in Lausanne. no doubt a superb free dance. However, this one did not capture my imagination as much as Maya and Alexander did. In my scorecard, they didn't have the flow or the continuity of motion that Maya and Alexander had. I might come off as a big Alexander Zhulin fan, but they're still, to me, the best here. But no doubt, this is a superb free dance we've just seen.
Well, I'm a big Usova Zhulin fan as well, but I have to say that this free dance was much more difficult. Maybe it wasn't as smooth. I think this, in the next 2 weeks, it's going to need a little bit of work. But Paul, this was a very difficult free dance with some very difficult, interesting lifts.
Well, I often wonder, Bob, if that's not the Isabel and Paul influence. They always seem to have a free dance that shows a lot of interesting and unique moves, and I think this team is trying to do similar material.
Well, Marina seems delighted. Speaking of Isabel and Paul, they're watching on television. We'll start skating again tomorrow. We spoke with their coach, Martin Stepnicki, who admired this program for its originality. And I think he felt the biggest challenge in Albertville will come from Klimova and Ponomarenko.
Well, he felt that Usova Zhulin's free dance was a little easier than this free dance.
Here are the marks. 5-6 from the Austrian judge, 5-7 from Italian. The French judge 5-6, the rest are higher. And so it will be interesting to see the artistic marks. And here they come. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 perfect sixes for the artistic portion of Klimova and Ponomarenko's program. And all 9 judges have them ranked first. It is a cause for celebration for Klimova and Ponomarenko. And the defending champion, despite a shaky week of practice, Surya Bonaly showed no signs of the pressure that surely must be mounting on her with Albertville fast approaching. The French hope for a medal in the Olympics.
Well, this morning on practice, Surya did her program packed with 8 triples and a quad. Now, I'm not sure if she's going to take that approach here. She's pretty safe in the #1 spot, but we'll see. And the quad is her first jump in the program. And that was a triple combination. She decided to forgo the quad.
In watching her practice this week, it almost appears as though Surya has 2 goals in her long program. The first, to execute the quad, and then the second, to skate a good program. Most skaters go out there with only 1 goal in mind, that is, to skate a nice and clean, solid program.
It's interesting that she's taken a Spanish approach this year. It reminds us of 1988 when Katarina Witt and Debbie Thomas both were the battling Carmen.
The last time we saw Surya was at Lalique in the fall, where she did not skate well, placed 5th, and at that time I remember us commenting on the fact that perhaps she has to go home and concentrate on getting her material, her long program together, because that's what was suffering the most. I think we've seen here today someone who's done just that. She's put in a strong performance, and I think it's going to be enough to keep her in first place here at these European Championships.
Paul, she did some really nice triples. She's made a couple of misses. She scaled her program down a little bit from what we saw this morning. But nonetheless, I think this was the program that is going to win this program. There's nobody that can even come close to her difficulty except for possibly Marina Kielman.
This is look at her first combination, a triple toe. Both jumps nicely executed. And here we're going to look at the triple lutz, which unfortunately she had a little bit of difficulty on, but as you mentioned, she did scale the program down, and I think that's going to help her confidence getting a good skate underneath her belt.
Maybe a sign of maturity, too. I'm not sure she would have done that last year. She was hell-bent for leather to land the quad, but here she turned in the performance she probably needed to win.
Well, not only needed to win, but for the confidence. I think that's most important for her because she's had some poor outings this season.
And Bonaly, congratulated by her coach, Didier Gagaway, as she makes her way to the podium to assess her marks. And here are the first set. And the judges in agreement on that performance. 5 6s and 5 7s right across the board. She will be one of the few skaters with a chance in Albertville to crack the American domination in the women's division. Here are the second set of marks. And they are just about the same as the technical marks, which has to be a good sign for her. Her artistic marks have always been lower, but Surya Bonaly has first place marks right across the board as she tries to defend her European title. Well, for the German champion, the strip very similar to a year ago when she had a disastrous original program, was 6th, but came on during her free skate to place in 3rd. This year, she's 5th as she goes after a medal.
This is a very difficult program to land with 6 triples in all. And she's been very consistent all week. In fact, has been skating complete run-throughs with all the triples. So we'll see what happens under the pressure here.
Well, there certainly is pressure here, Barb, because for the German team, there's talk that they'll send maybe only one, perhaps 2 ladies, and with that fall, she now has that in the back of her mind. She might not make that German Olympic team.
Despite the fact she's the defending champion, she's behind both Patricia Neske and second-place finisher Simone Lang after the original.
after the initial two problems on her first two triple jumps, she seems to really have gotten back on top of things, and she's landed 3 triple jumps in succession. Wow, she has really come back and in fact has thrown in an extra triple lutz at the end of the program. She's really come from a devastating start to a very good finish.
Well, the difference in thought process that must be going on between what's going on in Marina's head and what's going on in Surya's head is very different. Surya comes out in first place knowing that with a good skate, she's a very good chance of staying there. Marina comes out knowing she's third amongst her countrymen and really needs a good skate. And it's interesting that she started off poorly, Barb, but as you mentioned, came on knowing that if she didn't, she wouldn't make the team. This is a look at an attempted triple loop. And she manages to get in, and as you said, Barb, she started off poorly, but really came on near the end.
Well, Marina doesn't look quite sure as she is greeted by her mother and her coach, Heidi Kilman, who prior to this competition predicted that her daughter would win gold at the 92 Europeans. Now a medal of any color, I'm sure, would be a great relief to the Kilmans. Well, there are the first set of marks, and I think they're a little higher than Marina might have anticipated, considering the problems early in the program. A set of artistic marks like that will certainly be enough to send her to Albertville. Well, will history be about to repeat itself? Last year, from 6th place to the bronze medal position in Sofia, and look at these marks as well. She is moving from 5th now into 2nd place, and her place on the German squad to the Olympics in Albertville is now secure.